Hey guys, welcome back to Online Ancient Literature. This is our last video for the week. I only have two poems to share today. I still have to go through the roll, I guess, but it seems like I'm missing at least like two or three people's poems still, which you can email me if you want to do an alternate assignment, but those should already be in by now. So I guess I could be wrong, but it seems like two or three of you still need to get it to me. But anyway, we have two really good ones to share today, and then we have a small amount of notes as we come to a close on Aeneid. All right, so this one's cool. I'll go ahead and read it, and then I'll talk about it a little bit. Okay, I like the quiet, but not this way. I can't say that I ever liked this change. I've never liked crowded halls, but I can't escape these walls, stuck inside another day. The temptation of isolation seems so easy. I never thought that I would want to leave. I never really wanted to go to school. I'm just wishing that I had a pool. Okay, very good. I'm noticing some rhymes that I didn't even catch before, so let me add those. Okay, so this is kind of free form, but it reminds me of Dickinson a little bit in the way that the rhyme scheme is happening, which is that it's happening in a kind of unusual and complex way. The end of the second line rhymes with the end of the stanza, which is a six-lined stanza, and then there's a back-to-back rhyme on the penultimate and the fourth line, which is interesting. And then we end with a rhyming couplet that comes at the end of a five-line stanza. So yeah, this is cool. This is kind of what I was planning for in terms of people doing your free form, but applying their own rules to what that form would be. So here we do have a rhyme scheme. It's just a kind of unusual and interesting one. And I like the tone of this one. It doesn't feel too dreary, but I think it's drawing attention to the something that we're all probably realizing, which is it's like you like the idea of free time, but then when it's in a context like this, where it's kind of not even an option, it's not quite as fun. But anyway, yeah, this is good. I like this one a lot. All right, we have a second one for today. This one is very interesting. Another intricate rhyme scheme, a very involved and unique rhyme scheme. And again, we have a regular line size. So I'll read this one real quick. Okay, so Colorado. Colorado sometimes sucks. It's always hard to find some ducks. Never hot, always cold. All the houses always sold. Snow in May, just like that every day. There are bad drivers on the road, and the summer lawns are mowed. Mountaintops so high make the old people always cry. Warm weather, no need for a sweater. Colorado never sucks. You can always find a duck, always hot, never cold. All the houses never sold. No snow in May, not like that every day. So you see, look at the trees. Colorado has highs, Colorado has lows. Just open your eyes and look and see what Colorado has to offer just for me. Okay, I like this. This is cool. This one doesn't have explicitly as much to do with the interesting quarantine time that we're having. And yet, I feel like in a loose way, it is commenting on maybe what it feels like specifically in Colorado, while the whole country kind of deals with this. But yeah, there's an interesting thing going on where the first stanza kind of repeats, but each line is like tweaked slightly, and things are kind of flipped and reversed. So it goes from never hot, always cold to always hot, never cold. So I don't know. I feel like it reflects something about like seasonal changes. We're talking about snow in May, and then we're saying it no snow in May, and then we're like talking about summer, potentially warm weather. Yeah, this is cool. I like how there's kind of a surrealist energy to it. Something about ducks. That's almost just a kind of like convenient way to rhyme with the first line. And yet, I don't know. I kind of like how it's still managing to like say something, but it's open ended. It's meaning it's open to interpretation. And the rhyme scheme gets real interesting in the very last stanza. So we have this cool thing where it's like we have what are these seven-line stanzas, the first one, at least, where three lines in the middle rhyme, and then it's sandwiched by two couplets, basically. And then that changes. We just get a six-line stanza with three couplets, made up of three couplets, rhyming couplets. And then we return to that first stanza again. And then we have a really kind of all over the place stanza in terms of the rhyme scheme that is very interesting. Yeah, this is cool. I like this one. I like it a lot. All right, you can still turn in poems late. In fact, you can even turn them in for the rest of the year. Uh, this is a way for us to like I don't know. Unless we're doing Zoom, it's hard for me to emulate what a real literature class is supposed to be, where you guys are like, having discussions and stuff. So, anyway, more on that. I'm hoping to do a Zoom session, not next week necessarily, but the week after, so we can finish Aeneid together, as I've been mentioning. All right. I have like 5 slides on the first 10 pages of book 11. Barely any notes, but let's just talk about it real quick. Initially, Aeneas and the other Trojans are performing funeral rites for Pallas, who, if you remember, died at the end of Book 10. It probably came across, but I hope you guys are sensing that Book 10 was painting a really dreary picture. Just on all sides, we had just the tragedies of war rearing their head. And just things like not feeling triumphant, really. There's nothing victorious feeling about the way Aeneas is conquering these Italians. If anything, Virgil and the poem itself is drawing attention to the fact that war is ultimately just like it's an everybody loses kind of uh, prospect. But anyway, so I mean, what better way to start off book 11 than grieving one of the lost younger soldiers from last book? Okay, and then we have a little convoy of Latins come to the Trojan camp, and they basically ask Aeneas to stop fighting. They're like, "Hey, this is just going to keep going. It's just going to be more violence. Like, you should really stop." And then this is how Aeneas responds. So I'll just read some of it. Peace for the dead, cut down by the lots of battle. That's your plea? I'd grant that to the living too. I'd never have come if fate had not ordained me here. So he's kind of he's scapegoating fate. Basically, he's like, "Hey, this is not up to me," which he's done since his encounter with Dido. Nor do I make war with your people. It's your king who renounced our pact of friendship, choosing to trust to Turnus's force of arms. So that's kind of interesting. That's not really the way I totally remember it. I remember Turnus coming to Latinus and being all riled up from the Furies meddling, but King Latinus was still at that point kind of waving it away and saying like, "Oh, you're wrong." Like he wasn't doing anything to stop Turnus, but he wasn't rallying with Turnus. So the way Aeneas is wording that is a little maybe biased or something. Not that Aeneas was there when it happened. Let's see. Why it would have been fair for Turnus to meet this death. If the soldier means to finish off our war by force to rout the Trojans, he should have clashed with me and my weapons then in combat man to man. One of us would have lived, the one who Mars or his own right arm had granted life. Go now, ignite the pyre beneath your luckless dead. So he's basically saying like, hey, like for each of your Rutulians that we kill, it should always have been Turnus in that person's place. Let him fight me. Which I think the Rutulians would maybe be like okay with, as we'll see in a bit. Okay, and then we have this really interesting thing about Diomedes. It was mentioned back in what book 8 that the Rutulians were sending people to Diomedes, who has a settlement apparently in Italy. It's come up before, but yeah, so Diomedes, he was one of the Greeks. He was the one who wounded Aphrodite herself, now Venus. Apparently, after the Trojan War, he resettled in Italy. So he basically beat Aeneas to go to Italy. And so we hear about what his response was. So let's see. These people come to the Rutulian camp and tell Turnus what his response was. So let's see. Bearing the news from Diomedes' noble city, they say, "Nothing has been won for all our attempts, nothing achieved by all our gifts, our gold, our fervent appeals. We Latins must look elsewhere, hunt for other allies, or press for peace at once at the hands of the Trojan king." Crushing news. Even Latinus is overwhelmed. So Latinus is sad about that too. Even though he was never into the war to begin with, I guess he was holding out for Dio, our boy Dio, to come help out. So let's see, and then we get like direct quotations from Diomedes, and it's kind of long. He does a really cool summation of a lot of the nostoi, which, if you remember, that is a term for the returns, the epic returns of the Greek heroes from the Trojan War. Some of which were successful, some of which amount to an entire epic poem in the form of Odyssey. and some of which were not so successful. So he mentions Ulysses and the Cyclops. Shall I tell you of Neoptolemus's brief reign? That's Achilles' son, who we kind of encountered way back in book 3. It was 3. The house of Idomeneus tumbled to the ground. That's a Cretan guy who fought in Iliad. The Locrians stranded out to the Libyan coast. I don't know who the Locrians are. Even he, the Mycenaean commander of all of Greece, Agamemnon, the moment he crossed his threshold, down he went at the hands of his wicked queen. So we know how that worked out. That's Agamemnon getting killed by Clytemnestra, the conqueror of Asia, an adulterer crouched in wait to lay him low. And then he goes on. I only have 2 more slides, but I think everything Dio says is actually kind of fascinating. So let's see. He says, "Just think, the envious gods denied my own return to my father's altars, or one glimpse of the wife I yearned for." So we might get into it later, but Diomedes, for whatever reason, apparently was barred from returning to where he came from, and so this is why he had to go to Italy. So let's see. He talks about, "I, like a maniac," this is in the middle, "attacked an immortal's body. My sword defiled the hand of Venus with a wound." So he's like regretful over the fact that during his Aristeia rampage, he actually wounded Venus, as we're calling her now. That's interesting. He's like, I don't know, I wouldn't expect that from Diomedes. At the time, he seemed pretty into it. "No, don't press me to face such battles now. I've had no strife with Trojans since Troy fell, nor do I think of those old Greeks with any joy. And as for the gifts you bring me, give them to Aeneas. I've stood up against his weapons. We've gone man to man. Trust me. I know just how fiercely the fighter rises up behind his shield. What a whirlwind rides on that man's spear. Whatever the standoff around the sturdy walls of Troy, with Greek victory hanging fire until the 10th year, was all thanks to Aeneas and Hector's strong right arm." So he's saying, like, the only reason they lasted so long to begin with was because of this guy that you guys are now facing, and Hector. Both men had courage, both men blazed in combat, but Aeneas was more devout. This is that pious adjective that we see Virgil applying to Aeneas in a way that Homer never quite did. That Aeneas is very pious and devout towards the gods and towards fate, apparently. "Join hands in packs of peace while you still have the chance. Don't join battle sword to sword. Be on your guard." So Dio's basically just saying, like, y'all should not fight this guy. I'm not going to help. That was a traumatic time for me. I'm not going to return to a Trojan War sequel on your behalf. And if I know Aeneas, then you should just like let it go. And then towards the end of our little passage, we have this guy Drances. I don't know, trying to talk Turnus down, and basically voicing some of the same things that have been coming up a lot this book, which is just that, like, let it go, let the fighting go, or at the least maybe have a one-on-one duel with Aeneas just to settle this, and that's kind of where we leave off. They're gonna bring Latinus into the discussion and see what he has to say, which will be interesting. We'll pick up on that on Monday, and we'll find out who Camilla actually is. She gets mentioned for the first time, like right at the end of the part we read. But we'll get into that on Monday. But just be thinking how Virgil might be signaling certain themes to us. At the beginning of this, I was saying how, book 10 was pretty dreary, a little grim, and we seem to be like keeping the ball rolling on that. We only have 1.5 books to go. What is Virgil gearing up to like send us off with in terms of a message or a feeling or a dramatic irony? Like what could be left for us at this point? Be thinking of that. Try to actually give 11 and 12 your due diligence. I think because of the way we're doing, like, literature classes should not be done one-sided like this, so that could be affecting your interest level in reading the poem. But let's really try to finish strong and see how this story ends up. And good luck on your quiz today, which you should take now.